hope that it's one of your favorites. Here he is singing Blues in the Night. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Stafford. Joe Stafford.
And he does, and it's caught! Touchdown! Chris Matthews! How crazy.
With the first pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Joe Stafford, quarterback, Georgia.
Good kick up into the air. It is loose and recovered by Seattle. Chris Matthews.
So let's get started.
I think episode 31. I really couldn't tell you at this point. We're so far deep in the rabbit hole. It's getting ridiculous at this point. Joe Stafford, Chris Matthews, former Seahawks and Raven, intern Kev on the mic. Boys, it's been a couple weeks. We had to cover some kind of topics that have been popping up lately. First of all, how you guys doing?
I'm good, man. I'm, hanging in there. Got the family around me 24/7. So I got my hands tied up in that. How about you? What about you guys?
I've been bartending 3 o'clock to close pretty much every night for the past 3 weeks. So I'm kind of exhausted. I went on a golfing trip up to upstate New Hampshire near Woodstock. Shot over 100 both rounds I played. So not feeling great about the golf game right now. But I hit the ball well, contrary to my score. I will put part of the blame on the course though, because the green we're playing on, every green that I putted on was fairway. The greens did not run. I was putting and basically cut grass. It was not fun to do. And so I was 3-putting everything that adds up over time. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. That's my excuse. We need to get a Stafford and Matthews golf trip going. That'd be a good time.
Absolutely. I'm down with it. I got my little, I have my little golf case I can travel with. I'm
there
official.
We go. Kev, do you golf?
Yeah, I've been golfing a lot recently.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
We get one.
I golfed a lot last summer, and now me and the boys are back at it again.
What's your best score at 18?
18? I have no idea. Maybe high 70s.
Oh, shit. Okay.
No. It's got to be worse than that. I don't remember.
I was say high 70s. You're it's a pretty elite class.
PGA Tour.
No, a lot of the courses I play on are short courses. There's not a lot of long holes. So they have maybe 60 par or something over that. So it's not as impressive.
A little inflated kind of stats right there. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. You literally that's like a Tony Romo, Steph Curry number.
No.
I was like, holy God. Okay. I want to play. We gotta go out to LA or something and play. That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
All right. NFL stuff. We are an NFL podcast after all. Talk about some other stuff that's come up in the league around the past couple weeks here. Number one, Julio Jones finally got traded. And now we've been on this for a while. I told you guys, if you guys have been listening for a long time, if you're a true Stafford and Matthews veteran, I told you week 3 or 4 of this NFL season that Julio was gone. I told you Julio was going to get traded, and what happened? Julio finally got the action from the Atlanta Falcons, and he is now the newest member of the Tennessee Titans. Now, I like the move in a lot of ways for the Titans. I think a second-round pick was probably the best they could have gotten with the scenario working out the way it did. Julio Jones going on Skip and Shannon, without knowing he's on live television saying he's out of there, there's no chance he stays, there's no chance of reconciliation. That obviously tanked any kind of leverage the Falcons had. So I understand the reasoning behind only getting a second-round pick. I do think it's ironic that a couple other guys are in the league went for a second-round pick. For instance, Mohamed Sanu went for a second-round pick to New England Patriots. I can't describe what I would have done to get Julio Jones for a second-round pick instead of Mohamed Sanu. I can't describe things I would do. They're disgusting. They're illegal. I would be in jail for the rest of my life if I could have switched places with Julio Jones for Mohamed Sanu. But it is what it is. A.J. Brown's recruiting job finally paid off, and he gets his buddy Julio in town, now form a 3-headed dragon with Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Julio Jones with Ryan Tannehill at the helm. Chris, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think the one person that you have hated on consistently on this show is literally laughing all the way to the bank.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
I think he is literally sitting back and looking at everybody who doubted him and went against him when everything was actually doing just fine. He's looking at all of you guys and like, yeah, I'm good. And that's Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is over there loving this three-headed monster he has on his team. All he has, literally, he does not have to be great. He can literally be average and still get the job done with Julio Jones, AJ Brown, Derrick Henry. Like, these guys are like literally like they look like bears out there compared to the other teams. When you watch when they line up against some of these other teams, they're gonna look massive against these guys. And it's gonna, the only thing that I have questions about is health. We haven't seen anything, too worrisome about AJ Brown, but for sure with Julio Jones, who is a phenomenal wide receiver. If you listen to this podcast, you know how much I feel about Julio Jones, but injuries has been playing a part. I'm not saying that these same injuries that he recently had is going to come up again, but it does play a part in other injuries that's going on. So if he can just manage through that and be able to be average, I think on an average, what was it last? I think it was last year when he had 1,400 yards, and that was on an average on his average as in his career as a wide receiver with yards. Like, I would take that 1,400 yards. I would definitely take that, and I missed at least half the season. I would literally take that. So if they can just keep him healthy, I feel like this is a great time for AJ Brown to step up and really show that he's going to be a number one receiver and a perennial receiver in the NFL for years to come, with all the keys that they have, and allowing Julio Jones to, take up the slack at the end, whenever they need hot plays here and there.
I will tell you one thing. Ryan Tannehill is very good at being average. So I think you might have a low point there. In terms of me shitting on Ryan Tannehill, yeah, I mean, you definitely have a point. I have berated this guy consistently over the course of the past year, and I stand by that. I really don't think he's anything special, and I refuse to concede my position on that.
He wins the Super Bowl.
I mean, like, okay, so for instance, here's my counter argument, right? Jim Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls. He was a backup his whole career.
Yes.
So yeah, like, I think Jim Plunkett's a good quarterback, but do I think he's like unbelievable? No.
Nicole?
I mean, there's plenty of examples of average quarterbacks winning a Super Bowl. So does that mean that Ryan Tannehill is somehow elite if he wins Super Bowl? I mean, no, considering the surrounding class. That's like classifying Mac Jones as the reason why Alabama won the national title. Like, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's hard because, for instance, well, no, right. So let me phrase it. Okay, so Mac Jones, right? If we're taking this example further, had at one point in his entire career, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, Najee Harris, and a list of other guys. I'm not a big college football guy, so I have to go back in the thing here. But at one point, he had all of those guys in the same roster. Last year, he kind of stuck with Waddle and Smith because Jeudy got drafted the year before, and Harris. That's the three-headed monster he's stepping into. Tannehill stepping into in Tennessee. A great running back, a great power running back with 2 electric receivers on the outside. It's the same blueprint. Do I think Mac Jones is the reason that the Alabama won a title? No, I don't. Do I think Ryan Tannehill will be the reason why the Titans win a Super Bowl? Hell no. It's the same argument for me. I saw this meme on Instagram the other day. 3rd and 10. Who's going to make the bigger play? A.J. Brown or Julio Jones? Who's Tannehill going to throw to? I said neither. They're going to run the ball with Derrick Henry for 10 yards. That's what's going to happen. I mean, it's a good move regardless. It was a good move to make just to ensure you have offensive diversity. I'll say offensive diversity. But let's not kid ourselves here. This move doesn't change anything. You're still going to run the ball 30 times a game with Derrick Henry. You're going to wear the defense down. You have a better play action game now that you have Julio going deep and Brown underneath. Like, I agree with that 100%. But the game plan's not changing. It's not a cheat code. It's nothing that changes the entire complexity of the game. It's going to be Derrick Henry's show still. Let's not confuse that at all. But I think, obviously, Julio Jones adds another dynamic to your team that you didn't have before with Corey Davis departing in free agency to the Jets. So I think it's a good move overall. I do. But let's not overhype it. It's still Derrick Henry's team. Ryan Tannehill is still Derrick Henry's quarterback, not the other way around.
All right. It is Derrick Henry's team, not Ryan Tannehill, because he's the average guy, right?
So yeah, 100%.
Mac Jones, the guy that you drafted.
Oh, no, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We will get to that. Actually, no.
I'm just trying to make sense of this. I'm just trying to make sense of it.
All right, fuck it. We'll get to it now. All right, so we'll talk about some training camp battles as well today. So yeah, so my final point on that is AJ Brown, Julio Jones, great tandem. Still Derrick Henry's team. That's it for me.
Absolutely.
Training camp battles now. We have a couple interesting ones that are starting to take shape as AFC and NFC teams start to go into their OTAs, their mandatory mini camps, ETC, and training camps right around the corner, 5 weeks away for some teams. So we want to highlight a couple training camp battles to look out for here. Quarterback, obviously one of the most attractive positions in football, the most valuable position, I think, across the board in sports, period. And we have a couple battles going on right now. Denver Broncos is a very interesting one. You signed Teddy Bridgewater to a 1-year, $18 million deal. Very rich for my blood, especially when you have a guy like Drew Lock, who still has some potential and still has an ability to maybe show off for and be your long-term starter. But regardless, it is still classified as a training camp battle. Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Lock had a phenomenal rookie year for the Broncos, went 5-3, and tossed the ball all over the yard. Last year was a different story. And I want to defend Lock because I actually do think there's some potential there to be a long-term starter. I think a lot of his, non-success last year has to do with a lot of injuries. Courtland Sutton goes down with a torn ACL in like week 1 or 2. Phillip Lindsay goes down with a Nagy injury. He's out for consistently at least, I think, 6 or 7 weeks, and is never really back to the same form because of that lingering injury. Melvin Gordon gets injured, a concussion, and gets a DUI in the same week. Tough week for that guy. The offense was never consistent, and it never allowed Jerry Jeudy to be able to grow because he was always being double covered. Courtland Sutton was not available. Noah Fant took a step back, maybe a step forward this year to kind of facilitate that offense a little bit. And KJ Hamler had a decent rookie year, but again, he's better suited as the third guy in that offense, not the number 2. So there's a lot of different variables going into that. So I think I want to give Drew Lock a little bit of a break there. I am all in on making Drew Lock the starter right now. I have no problem doing that. I think Teddy Bridgewater, had he not been gruesomely injured in Minnesota, might actually had a promising career ahead of him. I think that career is probably over. That part of his career is over as being a starter. I think he's best valued now as a high-quality backup. I think it's probably the best role for him to fit in. I think playing on the Saints when Drew Brees went down, went 5-1, did wonders for his character and for his ability to make some money in the NFL post gruesome injury. I think that's a good thing for him. I root for the kid, I really do. But do I think he can be a consistent starter that will get you wins and get you into the playoffs? I don't. And so for that reason, I think Drew Lock will be the starter for the Denver Broncos this year. Chris, what are your thoughts on this training camp battle?
I'm right on board with you on that. But I don't want to sell Teddy Bridgewater short just because of injury. He's just being able to he was able to bounce around with team to team just to make some money. I think that he is a legit player. I mean, a legit quarterback who can take you into the playoffs. Now, further and deep into the playoffs, I don't know. That's remains to be seen. But just as if somebody was to get hurt, like Lock, if Lock would go out there and get hurt, you would be able to plug him in and be able to take them to the playoffs, and then you figure it out from there. Hopefully, Drew Lock is healthy enough and he's in a sound mind state to be able to go back out there and lead the team. Yes, I can definitely see that. It would just come down to injuries, honestly, for me, for Teddy Bridgewater to ever see a starting spot on this team. But there's a lot of teams in this league that can also use his expertise, to be honest with you. So I think that he's in a great spot where he can actually compete for a spot. Know that whenever that chance comes, that he'll be able to take it and run with it. Honestly, I think that this Denver Broncos team actually fits his quarterback's style of play. So it just comes down to injuries for me with that. And I also just want to say, I want to knock on wood and say that I'm not wishing any injuries on July.
Agreed. I mean, I think it's pretty horrific to wish injury on someone. I think that's pretty universal. So, okay, same page with that. Interesting. Okay, let's hop it over to my side of the pond. Let's go to New England.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
There's technically a three-way battle between quarterbacks right now. I think it's probably a two, but technically it's a three. We have Cam Newton, Jared Stidham, and Mac Jones. Brian Hoyer's on the roster technically, but he's just there for expertise and for mentorship and all that stuff. We know that already. His playing days are done. Okay. I'll start with this. Stidham actually has been pretty consistent during the OTA period, and I would like to see him get a chance to start. Do I think that happens? No. Do I think he deserves a shot? I think he does. I mean, I think he's been consistent enough over the past couple training camps where I think he has the ability, or not the ability. I think he deserves a shot. Bottom line, he deserves a shot at the starting role. Does he get one? I'm going to go with no. So he's really left with two options. It's Mac Jones and it's Cam Newton. And if you think Mac Jones is starting, you are out of your fucking mind. It's going to be Cam Newton. And I hate to say that because Cam Newton's obviously not the guy anymore. And he has been the guy for a couple of years. Injuries have derailed his career. His shoulder's full of rubber. His mechanics are off. His release is off. He's not the same player he once was. And even when he was that player, he was never known for his accuracy. And now that he's past that prime of his career, his accuracy is at an all-time low. I could throw better 5-yard outs than Cam Newton at this point. That's how bad it's got. And I went 0-16 as a starter for South Boston Pop Warner. That's what we're dealing with right now, okay? That's exactly what we're dealing with right now.
Are you saying before this season even starts, you're already saying you're not even going to have a good season?
I didn't say that.
Well, what are you getting at then? If he's going to have a terrible year, his arm is made of rubber, he can't get anything done. Mac Jones is not even a factor right now. Hoyer is just sitting on the bench making money, chilling. How are you going to get these wins off if you don't have a quarterback?
That's a fair question. So last year, you would say Cam Newton was horrible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We were in close games a few times. There was all right. Let me get this straight. There was a very clear-cut scenario we could have made the playoffs while having Cam Newton be the worst quarterback in the league. That almost happened. We almost made the playoffs. We were like a game and a half out. Like we almost made the playoffs in a pretty stacked division. To be quite frank with you, Buffalo was dominant in the AFC last year. Miami missed the playoffs by a single game because Tua choked in the last game, but they should have made the playoffs. The Patriots, just in general, could have made the playoffs if they had a couple of games go their way in the last couple of minutes there. That was a very possible scenario for it to happen. And Cam was horrible. Having Cam being the system an extra year, getting some health back on the offense, and adding guys like Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith will make his life easier. Do I think he's going to throw for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns? No, I don't. Can he be more serviceable than it was last year? I'm praying to God that's an option. And I do think with these added weapons, he might just give you a couple, might edge you towards a playoff berth. He could. It won't be because of him. It'll be because of the surrounding cast in the run game. But can you get to the playoffs with Cam Newton? Yes, you can. Will you limp there? Probably. Will you go far? Almost verifiably no. But can you limp to the playoffs with Cam Newton? Theoretically, yes, you can. Back to the actual question. Why Cam Newton is the starter right away from me? Historically, Bill Belichick is just not keen on starting rookies right away. He likes to bring them along slowly. You saw it with Damian Harris just a couple of years ago. Didn't play at all his rookie year. Burst on the scene last year. Has a great sophomore campaign. You see with a lot of guys in Belichick's history, unless, they have to play because of injury or because of scheme or anything like that. This is not going to be any different. Mac Jones is the first quarterback to be taken as a first-round pick in the Bill Belichick era in New England. This is not anything different. He's going to sit behind Cam for at least the first month of the season. They could definitely make a change after that. I'm not saying he won't start any games this season. I'm just saying Cam will be the starter at the beginning of the year. all reports out of training camp, not a training camp, OTA's mini camp have been positive for Mac Jones. He has a command of the offense. He just needs to be a little more trigger happy. He needs to be less coy and less shy to throw the football around the yard. That just comes with being a rookie. I mean, that just comes with being a young player in the NFL, being the most important position in the NFL and one of the most storied franchises in the entire history of the league. That's a lot of pressure on the guy. And he's pretty much succeeding Tom Brady. Like, Cam Newton doesn't even count as the successor because of how horrible he was last year. This is really Mac Jones taking over for Tom Brady. And obviously there's some nervousness that comes with that. I'll give the kid a break for now. He has the mindset. He has a control over the offense. It's just about actual physicality and being able to actually go in there confidently and throw the ball around. So Cam's the starter for now. Don't be surprised if Mac goes in early in the year, October, November. But I'm telling you right now, put it in ink. Cam's going to be a starter to start the year.
No, I 100% agree with you. Sometimes I feel like, Joe, that you are on my side when it comes to this podcast and you want to trash the Patriots. Like, that's what it sounds like every time you come in here and you're talking about the Patriots and you guys' quarterback debacle. Like Cam Newton now, Mac Jones later, Brandon Hoyer in 3 more years, and then Stidham, he might come in for a play or two. It's like, it's always something going on with you guys over there. And for one, I am so happy to see this go on right now. The Patriots have been great for some time now. Honestly, they have been great for some time now. But now your greatness is gone to Tampa Bay, and you guys are struggling. You don't know what to do.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you a question.
Let
me ask you a question, Chris. When was your last Super Bowl win?
But check this out, though.
No, you didn't answer the question.
No. Check this out, though. Check this out, Joe.
Okay.
You're talking about Super Bowl, our last Super Bowl, right? I mean, when we won our last Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. Was I alive?
I don't know.
The answer is no.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay. It's all good.
The answer is no. I literally hadn't been born yet.
Okay, you guys are literally going to be in our boat now. How about that? You guys are going to be in our boat.
Hey, that's fine.
Next time that you guys get a Super Bowl will be before my kids grow up.
We won 3 years ago. I'm chilling, dog. Like, I'm fine. Like, we won recently.
I was chilling. And then look up. You look up and it's like, okay, damn, we ain't got a Super Bowl. But we've been there. We've definitely been there. And I'm not knocking you guys. You guys have been great. I've said that. But right now, you guys aren't great. You guys have great people around. There's great people in the office. You know what I'm saying? There's great people on the field. But you guys aren't great as a team right now because your greatness left and went to Tampa Bay. And like I said, it's just funny to me to watch you guys destroy you guys' team and then try to build it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be something grand, something great is going to happen with you guys' season. And we already know what's going to happen once the end of the season is upon us. And you guys are not going to make it to the playoffs. I'm saying it right now.
Thanks, Chris, for that pep talk. Love you.
I'm saying it right now. You can mark me down right now. You guys are not making it to the playoffs.
Okay. All right. Mark it down. Ugh. Wow. That was a nice pep talk. Anyway. All right. Another training camp battle to watch, quarterbacks wise. This has to count. And I'm not sure why it counts, but it still does. Houston's dealing with a quarterback dilemma for obvious reasons. Deshaun Watson's come under fire for a lot of allegations about sexual harassment. And there's not really an end in sight right now. We don't really know the status of him playing this year. I'd probably lean towards him not playing this year and coming back the following year. So the Houston Texans have Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor. Mills is not pro ready, so I'm going with Tyrod Taylor. This is like a flat discussion for me. I'm actually a big fan of Tyrod Taylor. I was a big fan of him in Buffalo. I think T-Mobile era in Buffalo was a very fun era to watch. Led the Bills to their first playoff berth in God knows how many years. Mm-hmm. And I think he can do something similar for Houston. I mean, like, he's had a really bad streak. Oh yeah, I don't know if I said this on the podcast before, but I think Tyrod Taylor is one of the most unlucky quarterbacks I've ever witnessed in my life.
I am so happy you said that, bro.
Might be.
Happy you said that.
So he goes to Baltimore to replace Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco outlasts him. He leaves and goes to Buffalo. leads the Buffalo Bills to the promised land, the playoffs for the first time since like 1997, which is the longest American playoff sports drought across 4 sports. That's unbelievable. Gets tossed out the next year, goes to Cleveland. They draft Baker Mayfield. Tyrod Taylor loses his job after like 3 or 4 games. We know that's probably going to happen, but he still didn't play horrifically. Like, he played decently. They just wanted to see the kid.
Yes.
Goes to LA as the bona fide starter with Herbert as a rookie and gets his lung punctured by a trainer and then loses his job because Herbert went on an absolute tear as a rookie.
Yeah.
Now comes to Houston. With his luck, Deshaun Watson will be the starter day one. I mean, that's really what we're talking about right now. I mean, like, he's been one of the most unlucky guys in the league. And I feel bad for the guy. When I'd see him succeed this year, I think I would love to see that happen. Will he succeed? Probably not, because the Texans have a dog shit roster. That's just the reality of the situation. That's what we're dealing with right now. But yeah, Tyrod Taylor, I would be a fan of seeing him start for this Houston Texans team if Deshaun Watson can't do it. Mills just isn't ready yet.
No, I absolutely agree with you on that. I think that Tyrod Taylor has been under the rug substantially in the NFL, and it's hard to really put in words of how that really feels to me, seeing somebody go through that. But at the end of the day, he still gets to play. He still gets his shot. He still gets his money. He can do his thing and move on from there. For that much, I can go with. But I mean, honestly, Joe, I would take Tyrod Taylor and start on week 1. I would start on week 1. Go out there, do the read option, allow him to run around and facilitate the game. Allow him to use his total attributes instead of just limiting him to throwing the ball. Allow him to really control the game with his feet, kill the clock, when there's times that he can get out and make plays. That's something that he's actually really good at. He just likes to throw. I would say he's been conformed to be a player who just wants to throw, is what I would say. But overall, I think he would definitely be a great addition to the team. I mean, to the Houston Texans. And yeah, if that guy comes back, just got to sit back and wait it out. And it's unfortunate to see that. At the same time, you're getting paid, brother. So go ahead and just sit back and chill and let them spin.
I would much rather have Tyrod Taylor than Cam Newton.
Should have went out and got him. He was out there.
Kev, who would you take?
Before last season or after last season?
After last season.
After knowing Tyrod.
Oh, Tyrod, yeah, 100,000% it's Tyrod Taylor. It's
before knowing, close. I don't know. It would be a toss-up for me.
Yeah, it's not close for me at all. It's really not close. All right, we'll fight off Washington for a minute. This will be a quick one. Fitzmagic versus Taylor Heineke. I'm going with Fitzmagic. I like what the kid showed in the playoff game against Brady. Almost took him down. But they signed Fitzmagic for a reason. He's a bridge quarterback. He'll be in there until the next guy's available. So I'm going with Fitz.
Yeah, I'm going with Fitz as well. He's going to be that guy. They're going to probably run that scheme of let him get 10 games under his belt and then pull him out and allow the next guy to come in and try to finish it off with all the knowledge that he accumulates throughout the season.
Most definitely. Also, kind of quick side note, I've been cooking up a theory for a while now, and I would love to see this actually play out. There's a couple guys I think Washington would win a Super Bowl with, and I say that very overtly.
Like with the current team.
Yes, win a Super Bowl with their current team if there was a different quarterback on the team.
Tom Brady's being out there and Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, I swear to God.
Okay.
I got two players I want to keep in mind that I think are actually attainable. And you can laugh all you want, but I think these two players are very attainable for Washington to get. Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. I'll start with the first one. Deshaun Watson. First of all, trade value's in the absolute garbage disposal. There is no leverage from the Houston Texans. If he gets suspended, he gets suspended. If he doesn't, he doesn't. If he doesn't get suspended, he's already trashed the organization personally. He doesn't want to play there anymore. They're going to move him. Washington can easily scoop him up for whatever draft capital they want to give up players or whatever. Watson walks in there with a power running game with Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. Walks in there with an elite wide receiver in Terry McLaurin. Walks in with a surrounding cast of Curtis Samuel, with a pretty good growing tight end group, with a solid offensive line, and with one of the, I would say, the best front seven in football on defense. A solid secondary, a solid linebacking core. I mean, that's a team where you could really run the ball, run the play action, run the stuff that Deshaun Watson loves to run, and you can make a deep run. The NFC East always sucks. They're never good. If you get an elite quarterback in that room with that defense and you manage the game, if not excel offensively, you're going to a chip. The Washington football team almost beat the Bucs in the divisional round. That almost happened with Taylor Heineke. What happens with Deshaun Watson in there? You might see a different scenario play out. That's why I like Deshaun Watson for Washington. Okay. On the flip side, Lamar Jackson is due for a contract extension. If I'm Baltimore, I'm not touching this guy with a 39.5-foot pole. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl with the current team you have now. That's the bottom line for me. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. With his play style and the current team you have right now, you would need literally the best defense in the league to win with Lamar Jackson, because you need to play with a lead the entire game. Because as soon as you get down, as soon as you play without a lead, you lose the game, because Lamar can't play consistently in the pass game to come back from a big deficit. As soon as the game gets out of hand, 7 or 10 points, you're probably going to lose. That's why I don't like having Lamar Jackson on the Ravens. Flip side, if you somehow get him to Washington, you have one of the best young running backs in the game in Antonio Gibson. You have a great receiving back in J.D. McKissick. You have a receiver that he's never had in Baltimore, Terry McLaurin. And like I said, the most important factor, the elite defense, the elite front seven, and the ability to control the game and control the clock. Baltimore's defense looks like a shrill compared to the Washington defense. If you combine Lamar Jackson as a game manager, not as a guy to take over the game, as a game manager specifically, with a solid run game and an elite defense, that's the way he can win a Super Bowl. That's what I want to say about that. Lamar Jackson without an elite defense, without an accessory run game, is going nowhere. With an elite defense and with an elite running game, he can win you a Super Bowl as a manager. That's what I'm going to say about that. Thoughts? I want to hear your honest thoughts about this.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I was going with you with the whole Deshaun Watson thing. Yeah, it made sense. You know, it wouldn't even hurt if he wasn't able to play, because you already had you already had a quarterback ready to go. I get that. But then you talk about Lamar Jackson, and
he was on crack.
Yeah, he was. No, he was. But Lamar Jackson, and it's like, this guy literally just won an MVP. Like, literally. You don't just win an MVP and you just come out and you're just nothing. Like, that's how you're making it seem like he is on a Baltimore Ravens, and then he can just somehow turn his career around with the Washington football team. Like, he has to play his part. And from my understanding, I think it's what I'm looking at is the offensive play that they have surrounding him, and not actually him. We're talking about making throws, not being consistent with throws. That happens, that happens. But at one point in time, do you think that it could just click in his head and it happened? Yes, no. Because we've seen it before. We've seen it before, Joe. He's won the MVP. What are you talking about?
He's one of the best individual talents I've ever seen in my life, athletically and everything. I'm not taking that away from him. His play style just doesn't equal wins. It's like Russell Westbrook in the NBA, one of the best elite individual talents, but he can't win because of his play style. That's just how it works for me. And if
plays just like Russell Wilson. They play just the same way.
No, they don't.
As a Super Bowl. What are you talking
about? They don't play the same way, Chris. They don't play the same way. Russell Wilson has never rushed for 1,000 yards in a season. Has never thrown for less than 3,000 in a season.
He's not fast enough. He's not fast enough. That doesn't mean that he doesn't go out there and try to run the ball.
But Lamar, but Russ doesn't have designed runs 10 times a game.
Come on, bro. But did he?
What do you mean?
Yes, he has. In his career, has Russell Westbrook had plays specifically for him to run?
Right.
Yes.
But Lamar
So
Jackson, but
that's what I'm saying. You can't say because one guy got 1,000 yards. I mean, one guy got 1,000 yards and the other guy only has 500 yards that he can't run. Like he can run. He's just had more luck or he's faster.
I didn't say Russell Wilson couldn't run.
They both play the same though. So Lamar Odom can. I mean Lamar Odom. I keep saying his name. Lamar Jackson is definitely a quarterback that can lead you to the Super Bowl. And do I think that he can do it all by himself? No, I don't. But he can definitely get you to the Super Bowl. And yes, I agree with you on the managing part. But I think he's much more than just a managing quarterback. He is way more than what you're saying he is. And I think that if Washington was to get him out of sheer luck, that would be great. But I think it would be because of the offense would be completely different from what he is accustomed to with Baltimore. Well, we already know that Baltimore is a running team. We know that. That's history has been set in stone. Whatever offensive coordinator they go out and get, you go out there and you have amazing pass plays. That's fine and dandy. But damn it, when you get to Baltimore, you're going to run the ball. So you can't sit there and expect somebody to be out here handing the ball off, and they'd be like, all right, man, I need you to make this precision pass 3 times in a row. Like, how if I'm not even warm? I'm passing the damn ball off. My legs is warm.
Okay, well, we bounced around a lot there. Let me try to unpack some of this. I never said Russell Wilson couldn't run, but they don't design plays 15 times a game for Russ to run. That's just not how he plays. He's conservative running. He runs when he needs to, when the defense offers it to him. Lamar Jackson runs just because he likes to run. That's who he is. They're different players, and I firmly do believe that 110%. Lamar Jackson, you agree with the game manager thing, or you said you can definitely manage, but you think he's more than that. I don't think he is. And in this scenario, Baltimore wants to get rid of him. I don't think Baltimore wants to get rid of him at all because Baltimore knows how marketable he is. He's one of the best individual talents out there. They don't want to lose out on the money, on the merchandising and all that stuff and ticket sales. I get that. It's not likely they move him. They're gonna pay the guy. I'm saying, from my perspective, if I'm Baltimore, I wouldn't keep him around because I don't think I could win with him. I wouldn't pay him the money he's asking for. That's just me. That's just personal preference. I think he's best suited as an elite game manager. That's how I view Lamar Jackson.
What would you get him for, and what would you get?
Well,
if you had an idea, if you had a chance to go out there and they said, hey man, put Lamar Jackson up there and come back with whatever you come back with. Who are you coming?
So it's like, say I'm Washington, I'm trying to get Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I should look at the roster real quick.
Not even Washington, just anybody in the NFL.
I'm gonna go with Washington just so it's a little bit more specific to the scenario we're talking about. Okay. Well, it's gonna cost you a first, obviously. Probably gonna cost you a second, maybe even a second first. And looking at the roster, guys, you could potentially give to lighten the load. You can give Taylor Heineke if they want him, but they probably have a different scenario working out if they ended up trading him in the first place. Yeah, is there any players that they would absolutely love to have on that team? Landon Collins, maybe, but his cap hit is ridiculous, so they probably wouldn't take him either. So it'd have to be probably draft capital heavy, first, maybe 2 firsts, an additional low round pick in Taylor Heineke or Ryan Fitzpatrick, depending on what their preference is.
We need a player. You got to play.
Right. But so, like, if I'm Baltimore and I get offered multiple first-round picks, a quarterback to succeed him and another player, I'd do that 110%. 110%, because you save the cap on paying your quarterback $285 million. That's already a huge boost to your team morale because you have more cap freedom. Your team's already set up as a run-heavy team. You can put anyone in there and still run the ball the same amount of times you do with Lamar Jackson, just through a different degree and a different kind of style. Mm-hmm. And you have a high first-round pick at some point.
So what if they say they want a first round and Terry McLaurin and a quarterback?
I would do the quarterback in the first round pick. I would never give up Terry McLaurin.
Never?
No, because I think the whole incident of Lamar being on that team would revolve around him having that elite number 1 receiver he's never had. I still think you got to game manage with Lamar. I think you got to be running the ball the same amount as you do in Baltimore. But Terry McLaurin's head over heels better than anyone he's ever had in Baltimore.
Yeah, no. That's 100%. That's just a hypothetical. This is also a hypothetical too, because knowing that Baltimore is definitely a defensive-minded team, what if they ask for Chase?
Absolutely not. Are you insane?
No.
That dude is a freak.
You still got 3 other people on that line that's gonna get it done.
Yeah, but he's gonna be the best out of all of them.
Why? You seen Khalil Mack?
What?
I said you see Khalil Mack. What happened to Khalil Mack? He was the best for the Raiders on the defensive side, and they got him up out of there pretty quick.
That's true, but I think there was a lot of internal discussion revolving that there was some trouble in locker room.
This is not far-fetched. You've seen it.
But yeah, no. If you're asking me to get a Lamar Jackson trade done, would I trade Chase Young? No. At least for me, absolutely not. It's not even close. I'm not touching that guy. That's just me.
Just to keep your offense in full-fledged running.
Yeah, well, if it's between Terry and between Chase, I'll give up Terry.
So you would give him up then.
If I need to get the deal done and I have to make the deal, and it's between giving up Terry McLaurin or Chase Young, I'm giving up Terry McLaurin.
So Terry McLaurin.
If it's an ultimatum,
a first has to come out of it, and a backup. And a quarterback.
Yeah, I do that. I would do that if I was forced to make the trade. I would try to avoid trading either of those players. But if I had to choose between either of them, I'll trade Terry McLaurin.
And that's my thing right there. Is like you're asking for all of this, and that just shows me the value of Lamar Jackson and how much he's valued for. Maybe not the top spot, Chase Young, but you can get Terry McLaurin off of him if they just have to get this done. Like, that shows me that Lamar Jackson is a valuable player, and they know what he's capable of doing. And I'm gonna keep saying it over and over again. Everything that you've said about Lamar Jackson, I agree with it to an extent. But for me, ultimately, if he was outside of Baltimore, he would have a way better career in a different offense. Maybe say Green Bay. Like, I could definitely see him out there having a great time out there. Maybe it might be too cold for him, but he would definitely be able to spread that team out and play and have a number 1 receiver out there with him.
Let me clarify. I don't think Lamar Jackson's worth the trade package I offered. It's just the going rate.
I hear you.
It's the going rate. I want to make sure that's
a lot, though. It's still a lot.
Oh, it's 100% still a lot, 110%. But it's just the going rate. I don't think he's valued at that. It's just what you would have to give up if you wanted to go get the guy. So,
hey, MVP. You can't knock that from him, man.
You can't knock it from him. I just don't think he's gonna win a Super Bowl.
All right, we'll see. Well,
that's all I care about.
With Baltimore, it's probably not gonna happen. Somewhere else, we can cross that path if he goes somewhere else.
Exactly. I don't think you will.
Denver, I would definitely would love to see that.
I want to see Rodgers in Denver so badly. So badly.
Everybody wants to see that, but
that would be an
I don't want to see that. There's too many injured receivers out there. Even though, shout out to my guy Tim Pat and the rest of those guys, but like, it's a lot of injuries going on over there on that side for those receivers. I wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah, but seeing Rodgers play Mahomes and Herbert twice a year, give me a break. That's awesome. And the NFL would love to see that move happen. The NFL would love to sell the TV rights on that. Oh my Lord. All right. Next agenda. We have a couple training camp holdouts, or I keep saying training camp, OTA minicamp holdouts. Mm-hmm. Stephon Gilmore, former Defensive Player of the Year. Jamal Adams, it's kind of like a half holdout because he has a personal family issue going on as well, but he's also holding out for a new contract. Daniel Hunter just ended his. Mm-hmm. And Xavier Howard, the all-pro cornerback for the Miami Dolphins, is also holding out for a new contract. Out of those 3 players, Chris, who are you paying first?
I'm paying I might just go ahead and pay Lattimore and get him out the way. I think he is a great talent who sticks to his man, unlike nobody else I've seen in the NFL do it. especially as young as he is. He has just so much potential to, to grow even more as a DB. He is a guy who's smart. He's aggressive. I love his mentality when he's out there on the field. And this is saying a lot because you already know my whole motto about DBs. But yeah, I think he would either him or Xavier will probably be the first two to go.
So is Lattimore holding out?
I'm sorry, say what?
Is Lattimore holding out?
Is that what you said?
No, I said Stephon Gilmore, Jamal Adams, and Xavier Howard.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I was way off on that one. Okay, well.
Cut it out, Kev.
Yeah, cut that one. Because I was definitely thinking I was definitely thinking that he was a free. I'm not a free agent, but he was holding out for a contract. I could have swore I heard you said that.
Oh yeah.
That's all.
All right. Well, let's go with Xavier Howard then.
Howard for sure, absolutely tear on for Miami. My whole thing about it's just hard because he's not on a winning team, so it's not like it's going to be a substantial difference. If he just holds out and it leads all the way up to the season and they're like dying, like there's a plethora of DBs that can go out there and run that same deep cover three technique. So
right,
it's just hard with that, even though he is a great player.
Definitely. For me, you got Gilmore, you have Howard, you have Adams. People, I don't know if you've been on Instagram long enough for this, or you're not, like, if you like investigate like I do on Instagram. Jamal Adams is one of the most hated on versatile athletes in America. Like everybody just shits on this guy for no reason. I saw a meme the other day.
Well, we know why, but
who has more career interceptions, Vince Wilfork or Jamal Adams? The answer is Vince Wilfork. Like stuff like that. Like it's funny. Like stuff like that's funny. But let's not like mitigate his impact on that team. Jamal Adams is a great football player. Like he's good at almost everything he does. He can play in the box, up top. He can play corner. He can play on the edge. He can play anywhere you want him to line up, which is good. Can he cover really well in the open field? No. For that reason, I'm pushing him to the side. It's now between Howard and Gilmore. I'm going with Howard because Howard is that much more valuable to Miami than Gilmore is to New England. And I'll tell you why. People are going to be shocked by this. Gilmore won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago, 1 year removed from Defensive Player of the Year. The highest honor defensive player can win outside MVP, but let's not joke ourselves. No defensive player is winning MVP anytime soon. Back to what I was saying. I heard a report on 98.5 that they were talking about Gilmore and his holdout, and like Gilmore's far and away the best defensive player on the team. Like, yeah, he is. And they said far and away in the secondary, and I said no, because J.C. Jackson played unbelievable football last year, and I think if Gilmore really held out for a couple of weeks, we would be okay, because I have enough faith in J.C. Jackson being an eventual number one corner in the NFL that I have no issues getting rid of Gilmore this season. We can get a king's ransom from a very poor team for Stephon Gilmore. I have no issues making that trade regardless. As for Miami, a little bit different situation. Miami missed the playoffs by literally a game last year. They're hoping to come back with a vengeance. They've made some moves like Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle. They added to that offense. They need to solidify the defense. And by letting Howard walk out that door or, hold out for a little bit of the season, you are lessening your chance of getting those ultra important early season victories before teams form their identities. You get a couple early wins in the beginning of the year. It changes your entire perspective as you get down to the road towards the playoffs. They have Byron Jones. Yes, he played a little bit of safety, a little bit of corner. He's not the player he was in Dallas. You need to secure your number one corner. Secure Xavier Howard. I'm a natural born salesman. I swear to God.
I hear it. It's just, for me, it's the defense that they play that is so conventional and able to, plug and play. I know for a fact there is a lot of players that would love to come down to Miami in a tax-free state to play in warm weather and play DB at a deep cover three. There's a lot of players. Do you have to? I don't honestly see it, because they're in the leverage here. So I just don't see having to pay him immediately right now would make sense for Miami. But I'm against holding out and all of that stuff. I think you should just go ahead and pay the people for what it is, and then and let it ride from there.
So just do your job. Like I get so pissed off that comes from such this place of privilege. You're in like the top 1% of people in America. You make a lot of money. Can you at least show up and do your job? Like I get so aggravated with that. I get a lot of the time it because of issues with the owner or the team or whatever. Like, yeah, you can beef or whatever, but like, dude, you're being paid millions of dollars. You could not be that disenfranchised that you're not making an extra couple mil that year. All right, just like take it easy, do your job. That's my opinion on it. Anyway, that's the show. I mean, that's really all we have to talk about anyway. That's the show for now. Do a couple final thoughts. I'll start. Final thought. Actually, it's a final question. Chris, Richard Sherman, your friend, is still a free agent on the market, and there's rumors floating around he has been talking to none other than the New England Patriots. What are you doing if he signs to New England?
I'm coming out to watch a game.
All right.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
I'm showing up. I want to watch it. I want to see it. That would be special to have a team, a defensive minded team like that around him. Allow him to be smart, which is what Belichick loves out of his players, and and make logical plays out there. I think it will work out just fine for him if he ends up out there in New England.
All right, Chris, final thought.
I would say something that's really been on my mind. That's it's almost scary. It's almost scary to see it once it hits the field, but being able to see Zeus out there backing up Patrick Mahomes, that's probably going to be scary. Do you remember his tweet? Like, I remember it popped up on me this morning, and I was just looking at it. He was like, "I will never let anybody touch you." And I believe him every time he says it. Every time I see it, I believe it. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, how much time is he really going to have back there to be able to throw the ball 70, 80 yards down the field to a wide open Tyreek Hill? Like, how many times are you going to be able to do that?
He's a very large man, though. He's a very big guy.
Of the century. Like, if they don't go off and win in a run with a run of Super Bowls, I don't know what they're doing over there. Andy Reid, we need to talk.
I guess so. Kev, final thought?
Well, you mentioned Vince Wilfork before with Jamal Adams, and it reminded me of this crazy story where his son stole like $300,000 of his jewelry, Super Bowl rings and stuff, and sold it. Yep.
Yeah, he sold it.
They found out.
It happened today. No, it's funny because I went to Boston College High School. He went to Xaverian. They're both in the Catholic Conference. And his kid used to play at BC, and his dad would show up. He was at all the games and stuff. You're really going to rob your own father, take away his biggest life accomplishments, and sell it for it was like a measly $62,000 for the actual rings.
I would have been steaming.
I would have gone to jail. I would the things I would have done to that kid is unspeakable. Just first of all, the disrespect to your father who raised you, and just like, oh my god, I can't even get into that. That's just like, it's unbelievable. He's a piece of shit. He's a real piece of shit. That's all I can say. Anyway, Stafford and Matthews, episode 31 wrapping up now. We'll see you guys next time, and stay safe out there.